Thank you so much, first of all, for the invitation, the opportunity. It's great for me to be here and to share with you some ideas. First of all, because the report is written, but the report needs to run now, to have a voice, to have discussion. So it depends also on you, on the possibility to make possible that this report is becoming to be part of the discussion for the present legislature that is just starting. But I'm very happy also because the possibility for me to try to give one message that I think is absolutely necessary today at the beginning of the legislature has here the right place to say and to give this message. And I would like to thank you, dear President, for the invitation and for your very kind words, but also for what you said about the need of a change in this legislature. I would like to say very frankly and very clearly that I say that because we are all in a football mood in this period, so it's, I know there's no Belgian in the room now. There's one Belgian. Wow, big award. But the key point is that we can't consider the present legislature, the legislature that is starting now, that will start with an important moment in Strasbourg, the 17th and the 18th of July. It is not the second half of a first half that just ended up. I want to be on this point very clear, saying that what I think. The elections and what is happening in this period gave us a so clear message that we have to think that the next 5 years, they have to be different from the previous 5. And we can't go in continuity. We can't work business as usual. And this is why I wrote the report in the way in which I wrote the report. First of all, with a title that is not usual for the report, because much more than a market is not a usual title for the report. I can give you that, I can tell you that for me it was a little bit problematic in one country, Spain, because the people from Madrid started saying that the report had a title too much Barcelona, because the brand of Barcelona Football Club is Más que un club, and so much more than a market was sounding a little bit too much Catalan to the eyes of them. But in reality, starting from the title, the need to clearly say that we need to speak, first of all, a different language. And I say that here exactly because on the topics that you mentioned as the center of everything, I think one of the reasons why we failed until now, it was exactly because the discussion about the Capital Markets Union was an intra-financial people discussion. And then it failed. Because if we are not able to bring politics there and to link the integration of financial services with a higher purpose, and the higher purpose, the only higher purpose really successful can be the life of people, can be jobs creation, can be the way to make the transition successful. And this is why I wanted to have a report in which the core of the report is the link between the integration of financial services and how to give the answer to the most complicated question we have in the next 5 years, how to finance the transition. The transition is there, we took decisions, but if we are not able to say how to finance it, and if you are not able to find an agreement among member states, because they are divided, the lack of answer will be the biggest and deepest backlash, political, social, and economic backlash. And I think this is the main issue for the next 5 years. Because farmers were here around these streets many, many days in Brussels. But I found in the journey I had around Europe to prepare the report, farmers everywhere. And I think farmers were the first, but if we'll continue without giving an answer to the question how to finance the transition, after farmers we will have the trade union, of workers of the automotive industry will be the second, and then we will have a long sequence of people, because they will say clearly, if you say we go green, if you say it will cost a lot, and if you don't say anything on how to finance it, I think I will pay for it. So the main point of my report is to try to give the leaders, the Parliament, the Commission, some ideas on how to be pragmatic in the Delors way. Why Delors? Because I think we are discussing about the present political situation, saying that for the first time in Europe we have devils around the table of the European Council. For the first time in Europe we have devils, anti-European devils everywhere. But in reality, Jacques Delors created a successful single market with Margaret Thatcher, the most pro-European leader in an alliance with the most anti-European leader, creating the biggest achievement for the European integration, the single market, and then the euro from the single market. I say that for a very simple reason. I wanted to write a report without any mention to treaty changes. And I say that because I don't want my report is considered a book of dreams. It is not a book of dreams. It is feasible. And there's a set of tools that are feasible in a very, very short term. And these ideas are fundamental for very concrete and pragmatic missions that are jobs creation, relaunch of the economy, growth, competitiveness. And I think we are all pushing for these missions, sovereignist and pro-European. And we are all discussing about these topics in a different way. And when we go to the concrete details, we understand that only with a better integration we can be more competitive. I'm sorry to use slogans, but I used in the last months presenting the report around a slogan that I understood it was very well received in the different audiences. And the slogan is very simple. If we continue with fragmented financial European markets, there's just one being happy, and this one is Wall Street. And Wall Street happy means that part of our savings will go there, will continue to go there. And I think we have to be more aware of the need to be competitive in attracting capitals, not in leaving capitals going out of Europe. And of course, it's not an anti-American mood. Competition is competition. We have to be aware that the integration of our markets is decisive for our competitiveness. And why I say that? For a very simple reason. One of the reasons of the failure of the Capital Markets Union until now is the fact that we didn't reach in this link with a higher purpose. And I think the only way today is to create this link with the transition, with the just, green and digital transition. Because if you are not able to create this link, in my view, the transition will be a failure. I don't see other ways to make the transition successful. And we all want to have the transition successful, because the transition means future, means jobs, means competitiveness, means a European Union that can be really at the forefront of innovation in the future. This is why I wanted to create this link. Maybe, Jörg, we can discuss on that later. And this link, in my view, has to be a very concrete one. I will discuss with the ECOFIN ministers in 3 weeks' time. Pascal Donneau invited me to be there. I will be there. I will discuss with them, and I'm very happy because I think we need follow-up and concrete way to lend. And the idea to change the name is not just a rebranding. It's also the way to create a different narrative that can be a different substance. Capital Markets Union, I think, was since the beginning a very bad name, if I may say. capital markets union is not easy to go in a rally, in an electoral rally, and to say to the voters, hey people, I promise the capital markets union. The immediate reaction of any people to any leader, left, right, center, saying that is, okay, this is for bankers, it's not for me. This is the immediate reaction. No matter if the leader is from the left, from the right, from Estonia, or from Malta. It is that. The only way is to create the link between the integration of financial services and the capacity of the European Union to be really solving the main problem that we are having today. And without that, the problem won't be solved. So I wanted to underline this point also for another reason. You correctly mentioned the fact that in '85, when the war started, the leaders told him, yes, good idea, go on, but, and the but were energy out, telecom out, financial services out. These three are for us, not for you. That was the big message. And it was, I think, comprehensible at that time for a very simple reason. It was understandable because the big countries were the biggest countries in the world. The big European countries were the biggest countries in the world. So the national dimension was enough. Today, we know very well that it is not. And today we know very well that the need to integrate the three is the main problem. So this is why in the report there are 3 roadmaps for the 3, telecom, energy, and financial services. And I strongly believe that the need to be very effective and to get the result on the 3 is absolutely the fundamental task for the next months, years. I hope the President of the Commission will present these ideas like that. I hope and I know, because they discussed with me, the Hungarian presidency took the leadership on some of these issues, and I am happy. I will be in Budapest Friday morning. It's a good signal. I take this signal as positive, and I think it is useful to go in that direction. But in reality, we are lagging behind the US, not only in terms of strength of the financial market, it's more than that. And the main point is about the risk aversion we have in Europe and about the lack of innovation that is part of our problem. And this is why in the report I wanted to raise the flag of the 5th freedom. You know that we have 4 freedoms in the single market, so goods, services, capitals, and persons, and the need to elaborate on the 5th freedom, that is the intangible, so innovation, knowledge, and that is not part of the big mission of the single market. It was not part, and I heard a speech of Delors at the end of his mandate. They asked him any regrets, and he said, yes, 4 freedoms are not enough because of the intangible. We are missing the intangible. And it is on the intangible that the US are running, and we are just working. Can tell you that in the journey I had around Europe, I visited all the member states. I met more than 400 meetings and 65 cities. I met many start-uppers, young start-uppers, from Tallinn to Coimbra, from Dublin to Athens. I can tell you I was surprised by one thing, because I thought that it was only for Italians to say that. And I would say, listened these words everywhere in Europe. Young start-uppers telling me, when I asked them, what do you want to do, what you need? And the answer was always the same. I want to go to the US. And I think it's a problem. It's a real problem. Because if the idea is that the US are the place of innovation, the US are the place where you find the scale, you finance your ideas, and Europe is a place where you have obstacles to what you want to do, I think we have a problem because we are no more in 85. In 85, there were no alternative. You are in Europe, you stay in Europe. Today, there are many alternatives. And the need to be able, with also creative ideas. In the report, there's this idea of the 28th virtual state, the 28th regime. I think we have to work on that. The idea that how is possible for the European investors or investors coming from abroad to invest and to work in a system where you have 27 legal system, 27 fiscal system. The Americans, I presented the report at the US Chamber of Commerce. What they told me is the most important point, give us a passport too. Able to go everywhere in Europe without this problem of the fragmentation in all these different systems. And the idea of creating this 28th regime, this 28th virtual state, with the possibility to have a legal system there, implemented everywhere with a sort of passport too, is something that can help. The only and most important point is to be able also to be creative and to go where the problems are. I would like to end up before discussing, opening the discussion with Jörg, with one point that is part of the report, and it's, for me, emblematic of the problems that we have in our single market. That was the journey I had. That was a journey I wanted to have in the way in which usually I travel within my country. My country is a country where the Frecciarossa goes very well, so the high-speed train. And when I used to live in France, I used to travel by TGV. Frecciarossa is better than TGV, but TGV is good also. Pardon, In Spain, fantastic high-speed train to travel everywhere, but Canary and Balearic, of course, and Germany too. You travel by high-speed train. Yeah, you travel by high-speed train. So, but I tried to manage my trip, my journey around Europe by high-speed train, saying that we go green, we are the smallest continent in the world, and I discovered that it's impossible to travel by high-speed train joining the European capitals. You can travel within our countries, joining the capital of the regions. From Naples to Venice, perfect. From Sevilla to Barcelona, perfect. But you can't connect the capitals. And it is the emblematic problem of the single market. The same is for energy, with all the lack of interconnections at the borders. The borders are there. They are physical borders, and they are in our head. And I think we have to work to eliminate these borders, because at the end of the day, it's not an ideological problem. It's a very pragmatic problem. It's to be able to be in a better shape in Europe, to give more jobs. About jobs, what for me was the other key issue and the other figure that I try always to share with people asking me, what does it mean, the single market and the lack of single market? In 2.5 years, we helped Ukraine, and it was good, and we have to continue helping Ukraine. We spent a lot of money of European taxpayers, and we know very well that 80% of this money was to buy non-European military furnitures. So to help jobs creation in South Korea, in Turkey, in Michigan, in Wisconsin. And the same figure in the US is 12%. That means that in the US, 88% of what they spent to help Ukraine was to support jobs creation in Michigan and Wisconsin. I strongly believe if we are not able to say clearly that it is not a theoretical problem, it's not an ideological problem, it's very concrete. It means jobs, it means growth, it means the possibility for us to have a better life. And I end up with the answer to the question I received some days ago in France, in a debate I had, and they asked me, but in concrete, for your life, what does it mean, the single market, and why are you pushing so much? And I told them, listen, for twice in my life, I used to live out of my country. Twice, both in France. One in Alsace, in Strasbourg, when I was young, because my father was working at the University of Strasbourg in the 70s, before the law, before the single market. And the other one in Paris at Sciences Po 10 years ago with my family. And I can tell you, I told, in the 70s, we were a family of Italian immigrants in Alsace. In 2015, we were a family of European citizens choosing to live in Paris. And frankly speaking, it makes the difference. This is why, at the end of the day, it is much more than a market.